Hey everybody. So in this next video, we're going to talk a little bit about stratified squamous epithelium. And this is going to be similar to before, except stratified versions. So simple stratified, cuboidal stratified, and we're going to talk about columnar that is stratified. So we're going to begin quickly with just a couple of real quick overviews. One being that stratified epithelium is going to be different layers and in a lot of cases different shapes. So with that said, you may see 2 or 3 layers of cuboidal epithelium, and that's it. You may see 10 to 12 layers of simple squamous epithelium, or stratified squamous epithelium in this case, with a couple of cuboidal epithelium below it, or maybe a columnar here and there. So with that said, it does not have to be only one type of cell. But typically, when we do look at these things, we're going to discuss different sections. So in other words, if we are looking at something like skin, we're going to be focusing, in this case, on the stratified squamous epithelium, which we'll get to in a second. Another thing to keep in mind is that because in this case, the different layers of skin have the apical layer towards the top and the basal layer towards the bottom, in this case, you're not necessarily going to see all of these cells connecting at the base because there's so many different layers of it. They're connecting to different layers of themselves. So in this case, you're going to see scenarios where there are many stacked layers of these cells rather than a free end and a basement end. And with that said, apical surfaces may possess things like keratin, which we're going to see in the skin in just a second. And we're going to talk about this a lot more when we get to the skin section. So with that said, stratified squamous epithelium is the first one we're going to start off with. When we can see here, there is a ton of cells. And one really important note to take with this is that these cells will change over time as they push towards the surface. As you can see in this picture, they flatten out more and more as they rise up to the top. Notice how I say they rise up to the top, because cell division occurs way down here at the bottom. When these cells divide, they're going to be pushed upwards and keep push, and through that process of being pushed up, other things are going to happen. One of them being the keratinization. In other words, keratin is going to be put into the cells, and it's going to help make sure that it's tougher, it's stronger, and your skin becomes resistant to water. Or else, whenever you jump into the shower or into a pool, your cells would start to basically blow up. They would start to die because the water would be infiltrating the cells, and they would, remember, diffusion, osmosis, they would start to take on all that water and start to explode. And that'd be kind of scary if we started to dissolve in water. So keratin is going to help prevent against that. With that said, these cells are very, very thin and easy to make, and therefore cheap in a way. So they have the ability to just fall off or be scratched off or just slough off over time. So with that said, in a place like skin, you're going to use something like simple, keep saying simple, stratified squamous epithelium that is going to continually be divided, rise to the top, and then fall off over time. And here are a couple of other locations. Again, here's the human skin in somewhere like the oral cavity of the mouth, places where the skin can easily just keep on generating and you can keep losing those top layers. The next one we'll talk about is a very rare one, and that is stratified columnar epithelium. You're not going to see this often, but again, it is stratified layers of columnar epithelium, and you're going to see this in places like very large ducts and glands. One place in particular is the urethra of males, and again, you're not going to see it that often, but it is something you can see. The next one here is stratified cuboidal epithelium, and as mentioned previously, you're going to be seeing these in a few locations. You can see them in sweat glands, mammary glands, salivary glands, in case you haven't caught on yet, and many different glands around the body. And also you're going to find them surrounding the egg in women. So with that said, earlier, I'll show you the picture again. We talked a little bit about stratified squamous epithelium and how many cells deep these tissues go. Many cells, many layers. However, when you get to things like simple cuboidal, you may only see 2 or 3 cells deep. So again, you have to think about and keep in mind the fact that it does cost your body a lot more energy and resources to build these. So in a lot of cases, they are very small in structure. And ideally, they're not going to be breaking down and falling apart. These are cells that you want to maintain over time, and they do not divide as often as those as stratified squamous. So if you have any questions on stratified epithelial tissue, please let me know.